element of the drum mix. So we'll have a little look now at some of the techniques we've used to get a bit of roll into the beat. So we've added a couple of little high-end bits and hi-hats, reversed hi-hats. So this is like 3 parts together, which kind of just represents us adding different individual hi-hats and different elements to create a sort of backing roll, high top-end roll that we can put behind that skeleton, and it will help it give a bit of stereo in the top end and also give a bit of movement. It's just made up of like reversed hits and normal hi-hats, of course, and this one I think is just the hits from a break called with like a fast attack and quite a heavy quite a heavy compression ratio setting. So this is the kick drum layered with the snare drum and our top end hi-hat stuff all together. So you can hear the hi-hats there giving it a nice little movement, the way they're enveloped and stuff. So this is the beat we've got so far with the elements we've added. Still sounds quite drum machiney even though we added those hi-hats from the break. So I mean, I don't know, some artists might roll with that beat how it is, but we're quite keen on the live sound of drum breaks, so what we've done is made a little sort of combination break here out of 3 different breaks.
I mean, these were 3 breaks that were on the track that we just bounced down as one after they were all processed properly and properly contained.
Yeah, so this is effectively 3 different breaks that we had to bounce because we were running out of CPU. So if we mix that with the rest of it, then that is actually the full beat. So you can hear those breaks really add to the roll and give it a live sound, which is very hard to achieve without actually using original breaks. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's our beat, and once we've done the beat, we feel like we're ready to move on to the other elements of the tune.
Here is like the main vocal, which is kind of the starting point of the track. The track is kind of just built around this hook.
So it's quite an old vocal. It was quite hard to get
sounding good, but I think it came out alright.
It came out well. There was a lot of rhythmic things that we had to do. Changing around rhythms and stuff. It was quite hard to fit it in 174 or drum and bass speed, which is what we write at.
Here. This here is like it's basically a copy of the vocal, but it's a 1/5 of the vocal. So it's just when the 2 play together, it just gives quite a weird harmonic effect. But it's kind of, I think people used to use that a lot in old school jungle, like hardcore and stuff. So it kind of adds to the old school vibe and the old school flavour of the tune.
Basically, what we did was just took the vocal and using a program called Melodyne, which is a great program to edit vocals with. We pitched, like Phil said, we pitched the vocal up 7 semitones, which is a 5th, and just straight layered it on top of the original, and then did a little bit of volume automation on the pitched up version. So what we got was that fading in effect.
Yeah.
So if we listen to that pitched up version of the vocal,
listen to it by itself. So this is up 7 semitones from the original. With the original, this gives a weird kind of unearthly kind of effect, which sounds kind of nice.
And I think what we did as well, which I'd forgotten to mention, was when we did this looped "But I Pick You Up" bit of the vocal, we added a chorus to give it a kind of. That's what gives it a kind of weird sort of 80s-y, crazy sound. The frequencies are kind of all phasing in and out of each other.
Yeah.
But it kind of adds to the energy in a weird way, we thought. So
kind of disco-y kind of effect.
So in the context of tracks, sound like this. Yeah.
find a good vocal, we obviously try and find as many good bits from it as possible, chop out as many nice bits as possible. So like, this is another little... That wasn't meant to happen, a little bit. So yeah, just trying to find as many usable bits from a vocal as possible.
So actually, Phil did the vocals for this track, so he would have sourced these different parts of the vocal for us to use, and then we just try them in different parts of the track and see which bits of vocal suit which parts of the track best. And then
so in context, it's just like when the original vocal takes a break, we've got this coming around just to provide a bit of interest, basically, when the main vocal loop has been running over the track.
So we did a bit of automation as well on a delay. We kind of automated the feedback on a delay alongside some automation on a filter to get this effect. And I think there's a bit of a phaser or something on there as well, but that kind of lets that vocal section fade out but continue on through the loop, and it kind of helps to keep the energy going and makes it so it's not kind of things are statically coming in and out. They've got nice delays and little bits of intricacy that carries on in it.
Exactly, just again to provide a bit of interest. The thing was, with the main vocal loop, the nicest bit that I could find, well, in my opinion, was obviously this main loop, and it didn't fit the full 8 bars. So with the down, I just repeated it 3 times, just to elongate the loop, so I didn't have to use any other sections that weren't quite as harmonically or rhythmically nice.
I think the repetition of the down that Phil implemented is what gives it that kind of fills the gap and gives it that kind of dancey flavour that it wouldn't have had originally.
Yeah. And then Dan took the pick you up at the end and looped it for the second section, which gives it a really nice energy.
Yeah, and then I added a chorus, like I said, and we did the pitching up 7 to add on top of that for a bit more effect. But I think also we processed the original vocal quite heavily, didn't we? A lot of the time we put vocals in Melodyne and fiddle around a little bit with the pitch of each note, just to try and make it fit better with the tune. And
also, it's good for when you've got like a dodgy sample. If you take something and just with it through Melodyne, you can end up with something that just sounds completely different but still sounds wicked.
Like you would detune a saw wave or something, we detune the vocals slightly on this tune. So we basically bounced the version and pitched it up a couple of cents and just laid it on top. And then we just added a little bit of reverb. So then our idea was to kind of add a piano chord sequence, pattern, whatever you want to call it, on top of what we'd done. So we wrote a kind of old school, kind of 90s piano sequence.
Yeah, just to kind of complement that old school flavour that was already kind of cooking up.
Yeah, we kind of heard something slightly kind of old school-y in there.
Yeah.
And we thought, might as well try and elaborate on that. So we wrote a little piano chord sequence which sounds like this. She tears you down, says you're nothing at all. She tears you. It's a little bit crackly because the tune's struggling a little bit.
The CPU is just overloaded.
So what we wanted to do was try and get kind of a 90s, quite a budget sound, so it sounds a little bit naff, but it works in the mix quite well. And that was the really hard part, actually.
And that's like immediately your basis for the whole tune, really. So like the vocal and the chord sequence together. And
we've got